welcome to your planetary archetype in Venus. I'm Nicole Harlow, and I am here to guide you today through your planetary archetype. I just wanted to start off by saying just because you got Venus today as your primary archetype doesn't mean that it will always be that way. It doesn't mean that it always has been that way. For some people, they stay one primary planetary archetype for their whole life. Some people change every few years. Other people change a few times a week. It really just depends on how kind of solid your personality is versus how flexible and changeable. So it's neither good nor bad. But let's kind of dig into Venus a little bit. Like I said, this is the primary archetype, so you can go deeper with this. You can create what's I like to call a triad, which is a blend of your top 3 planetary archetypes, which gives you a deeper kind of feeling, a deeper insight, kind of similar to the way that you may know your sun sign and your moon sign and your ascendant, and you kind of put those 3 together in a triad or a blend, and it gives you a much better indication of your personality type than, say, just knowing your sun sign. So right now we're just sticking with the primary. So you got Venus. Venus is the most sensual of the planetary archetypes. Venus luxuriates in the 5 senses, so it's not just sensual in a sexual way, although that's also part of your domain, is kind of lust and earthy sensuality. Venus is also just a big fan of the 5 senses in general, so anything that's going to feel good, taste good, smell good, sound good, so the arts, touch, massage, physical pleasure, cooking, also kind of taking things slow. Like I said, this is a supremely feminine, a supremely earthy planetary archetype. This is like, if you're familiar with tarot cards at all, Venus is like the Empress card. So this is like a woman in her full bodied, blossoming glory. This is kind of curvaceous sensuality. Venus loves pleasure, loves both giving and receiving pleasure, not just sexually, but in all realms of life. Venus also loves kind of nurturing and caregiving, especially from a material way. So when I say material, I mean like cooking and showering somebody that you love with gifts. And Venus is also kind of the ruler over partnerships. So as a Venus primary archetype, I'm sure you have a lot of vested interest in creating harmonious partnerships. So Venus is kind of a mixture between, if you're familiar with the zodiac signs, it's a mixture between Taurian energy, which is this earthy, sensual energy, and then also Libra energy, which is earthy in its own way, but it also, I don't know if earthy is the right word, it's grounded. So Libra is a very grounded sign, but Libra also rules partnerships and connection and creating harmony and the balance within relationships. So when you put those 2 things together and you have this sort of earthy sensuality of Taurus, and you've got the grounded, harmonious relationships of Libra, you can kind of see how they come together to form this Venus primary archetype. And one of the things that I want to do in these little videos is just kind of leave you with something to think about, so sort of food for thought. As I just listed some of your best qualities, I also want to point out like a few kind of pitfalls and things to look out for within your primary archetype. And the things that really stick out for me with Venus are a tendency to be a bit stubborn. That definitely comes from that more Taurian energy that's reflected and sort of influenced here. And the message there is to just be able to let things go sometimes and not have to kind of dig your heels in and hold on so tightly. Some other things that kind of come out with this energy is a tendency to be a bit lazy, to revel in pleasure a lot and the 5 senses and not do a lot of ambitious, goal-oriented work. Not always a bad thing, but just something to look out for. And then the last thing is a tendency to be a bit indecisive as well. And with that kind of comes this feminine desire or need to please and need to be liked. Something to look out for, and definitely I would recommend, you know, if you're a Venus archetype, to try to put yourself into uncomfortable situations where you might not be liked sometimes, where you might be the one who has to be the bearer of some bad news or say no, because sometimes as the Venus, it can be really difficult to say no to people. Always kind of striving to keep the peace. So that is Venus in a nutshell. I hope that you stick around with me to learn some more, to grow using the tools of tarot, astrology, the zodiac signs, moon work, and moon rituals. Your Radical Transformation Toolkit should be zipping its way through your inbox, right through to your email. So if you don't see it, check in your junk mail folder, it might be in there. And also, perhaps you'll join me this year on Your Year of Radical Transformation, which is the program that I host. You'll find information down below this video, all the way at the bottom. You can click on it and learn some more about the program. But I hope you stick around. I hope we work more together and learn and grow together. But for now, Venus, I will talk to you later.